So, what if the founder of Stoicism was actually an anarchist? Right, I know. When we think of Stoicism today, we usually picture this incredibly calm, collected philosophy. The kind used by tech CEOs and pro athletes to build mental resilience. But what if I told you that the guy who literally started the whole thing was actually this punk rock rebel who essentially wanted to burn down all of society's rules?
Welcome to this explainer, everyone. We are diving headfirst into the completely wild, heavily censored, and tragically lost ancient masterpiece of Zeno of Citium. We're going to explore a vision of society so incredibly radical that later generations literally tried to erase it from history. Now, here's the crazy twist. We don't actually have a single physical copy of Zeno's book, The Republic, left today. Not one. So, we're piecing together this 2,300-year-old lost manifesto entirely from ancient fragments. It's like a giant puzzle. We have to reconstruct his mind-blowing vision using these scattered quotes left behind by his hardcore fans and, well, his totally furious critics.
Okay, let's look at his origin story, because honestly, it sounds straight out of a movie. Zeno wasn't born in the intellectual hub of Athens. He was actually from a merchant town in Cyprus, making a literal fortune selling highly valuable purple dye. But then, right around 312 BC, total tragedy strikes. His ship sank in a violent storm, and he lost absolutely everything. Just boom, gone. Stranded in totally broken Athens, he stumbles upon a book about Socrates, and soon after he joins the Cynics. Now, the Cynics were this group of extreme, anti-establishment street philosophers who completely rejected wealth and social norms. And it was actually during this intensely rebellious phase that he wrote his Republic, which was way before he even founded his own Stoic school.
Section 1. The ultimate philosophical beef. Plato versus Zeno. So Plato's famous Republic was all about strict control, right? He wanted a society divided into these really rigid classes, ruled by elite philosopher kings, protected by massive walls, and heavily censored. Well, Zeno read that and essentially wrote a giant aggressive diss track right back at him. Zeno completely flipped the script. He argued for total equality, absolutely zero government or police, and a society bounded only by the universe itself. No walls, no borders. To completely replace those walled-off tribal city-states of ancient Greece, Zeno introduces this revolutionary concept of the cosmopolis. The historian Plutarch actually summarized it beautifully. He wrote that we shouldn't live divided by separate laws, but instead act like a single flock, feeding together on a common pasture under a joint law. Zeno was literally imagining a borderless world where everyone, everywhere, is a citizen of the universe. He's advocating for a global community thousands of years before the internet or international travel were even a thing. Just incredible. But you're probably wondering, how on earth does a society function without police or courts or laws? Well, Zeno divided humanity into two distinct categories. First, you've got the sages, or the wise. Sages don't need laws because they're entirely ruled by reason. They inherently understand that harming the community just harms themselves, so they simply don't do it. And then we have the fools. Zeno argued that the unwise are basically enslaved by their own desires, their greed, and their anger. If you can't control your impulses, you aren't truly free. So Zeno's ideal republic is a city of sages running perfectly on mutual respect, without a single artificial law in sight. Section 2. Zeno's Radical Rules, Abolition Institutions. Okay, so the crucial point here is that because Zeno was designing a society strictly for completely rational sages, he just rapidly abolished almost every institution the ancient Greeks held dear. He threw out the standard school curriculum of math and music, arguing that those subjects don't actually teach you how to be a good person. He completely banned all money and currency, literally got rid of it, to eliminate class division, greed, and the pressure of meaningless jobs. He banned law courts because, well, sages don't sue each other. He banned temples because you obviously can't trap the divine in a stone box. And he even banned gymnasiums, which he viewed as basically just breeding grounds for superficial ego. And this part brilliantly illustrates how Zeno just destroyed the deeply sexist norms of his time. In ancient Greece, women were restricted to the home, basically treated as second-class citizens. But Zeno, he mandated total, uncompromising gender equality. Not only did men and women have the exact same rights, but he decreed they should wear the exact same practical unisex clothes. And this wasn't just some fashion statement, right? It was a very deliberate move to eliminate body shame, vanity, and all that social status that comes with wearing expensive, flashy clothing. And he absolutely didn't stop there. He also pushed to completely abolish traditional marriage. Keep in mind, in the ancient world, marriage was really just a property contract used for inheritance and family alliances. Instead of that, he proposed a community of partners where relationships were free, fluid, and based entirely on mutual consent. No ownership, no jealousy. And for the kids, he set up this collective system where the entire city raises the children together. The idea was to eliminate parental favoritism and ensure literally every child has a massive, highly supportive family.
Which brings us to the part of the book that probably made ancient Greek grandmas faint. Did the founder of Stoicism really promote cannibalism? Look, rival philosophers and critics spread these massive, shocking rumors that Zeno's book explicitly permitted incest and eating human flesh. Wild, right? But let's take a neutral look at why these intense claims actually existed in his text.
To really understand this, we have to grasp the concept of Stoic indifference, or adiaphora. Basically, Stoics believe the only true good is virtue, things like courage and wisdom, and the only true bad is vice. Literally everything else, wealth, reputation, and yes, even human bodies, is just a neutral fact of nature. Zeno used extreme shock value to prove this exact point. He argued that a dead body is just empty matter. So in a completely extreme life-or-death survival situation like a terrible famine, eating a dead body isn't inherently evil. It's just an indifferent, practical action. He definitely wasn't telling people to go out and hunt each other. He was just using extreme thought experiments to force people to realize that many of our deeply held cultural taboos are actually just invented social constructs, not universal laws of nature.
So you gotta wonder, what keeps this completely lawless, taboo-breaking society from descending into total Mad Max chaos? Well, Zeno claimed the city was ruled by Eros. Now, we usually think of Eros as the god of romantic lust, but Zeno completely redefined the term. For him, Eros was the god of deep, rational friendship and community harmony. It's the generous, social glue that unites people. Because citizens genuinely love and respect each other as members of a global family, they naturally cooperate and protect one another.
Section 3. The Great Ancient Cover-Up. Erasing History. Now, fast forward a few hundred years. Stoicism had somehow become the favored philosophy of the wealthy, highly conservative Roman elite, including famous emperors like Marcus Aurelius. Suddenly, having a founder who wrote a literal anti-establishment, anarchist manifesto abolishing money and clothes, well, that was incredibly embarrassing for them. And this led to a pretty hilarious historical panic. An actual Roman librarian at Pergamum, a guy named Athenodorus, was literally caught scratching out and erasing Zeno's most radical passages from the library scrolls just to hide his punk rock ideas from the Roman elite. Athenodorus was caught and forced to restore the text, sure, but the constant embarrassment meant the book was barely ever copied, so it eventually decayed and disappeared from history forever. Section 4. Why Zeno Matters Today. Modern Stoicism. Just think about how these 2,300-year-old ideas perfectly map onto our modern digital lives today. When you log into a massive global Discord server or jump into multiplayer games, you're essentially experiencing Zeno's Cosmopolis. You're connecting with people worldwide, completely ignoring physical borders. His absolute rejection of currency, that is the ultimate challenge to our modern consumerism trap. It's a huge reminder that sneaker hype, brand logos, and luxury items have absolutely zero bearing on our actual worth. He redefines true friendship as a bond of shared values, not how much social media clout you have. And that whole mandate on simple, unisex clothing, honestly, that's a profound ancient argument for genuine body positivity and authenticity. It completely rejects the fake, filtered standards of vanity we are absolutely bombarded with every single day. Ultimately, Zeno wasn't giving us a literal blueprint to go out and build a new country tomorrow. He was giving us an ideal North Star to aim for. The core takeaway of this explainer is that you really don't need to burn your money or throw out your clothes to live freely. As this powerful quote perfectly sums it up, the only kingdom you truly need to rule is your own mind. By constantly striving for that internal utopia, we can actually free ourselves from society's totally artificial expectations and just live our lives guided by reason and true friendship. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question for you to ponder. If you could abolish just one artificial rule in our modern digital society, just like Zeno did in his Republic, what would it be? Really take a moment to reflect on your own digital life right now. And definitely drop your answers in the comments below because I would absolutely love to see what you guys come up with.
Please like and subscribe.